Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm your host, Usha Kumar. Today I have with me a wonderful guest, a very knowledgeable guest, Rudy Behrens. He has been on our show before, talking about various subjects, and one in particular was in economics or finance. I think it was in early 2014 when he made certain predictions regarding finance and how things are going to be in this country, and many of them have come true now. So I'm going to pick his brains on what he thinks about the economy and finance right now, so that maybe some of you can benefit from it. So please join me in welcoming Rudy Behrens. Rudy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Glad to be back.
I know you have invested a lot of time studying economics and finance, basically watching what's happening and using it for your own investments and such. So it'll be wonderful if we can get a little bit of your insight into what's happening now in the world of finance.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So please tell us.
This is a field I love because it's searching for the truth is sometimes the most difficult. Three great sources of information are, believe it or not, the three business channels that serve us. One is CNBC, the second is Fox Business, and the third is Bloomberg Business. And you get the experts, the top people, giving their opinions. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to check their motives out to make sure that they're consistent.
I watch them too,
yeah.
And I listen to all the experts that come on the show and give their little pearls of wisdom.
There was this morning, as a matter of fact, was a great revelation. There were three that were very pessimistic. One was the former CEO of CBS, the media, and he's retired from there, but he's been CEO of other companies, and he says he's totally in cash today, and explained why. And his reasoning was that the kind of earnings that are coming out today are not good earnings. They're earnings that have to do with lower revenue, sales high but lower revenue, or even not higher sales.
I see. Are we talking about the very big companies, or the medium-sized, or the small companies?
Actually, all of them. They all are affected differently by the laws, of course. The big companies are more protected, I think, than the small ones today.
Yes, they are, because they are more diverse in their investments.
Yeah. And
also, they have their units all over the world. Thereby, they may not be showing their revenues here in this country on their books.
The 10th largest company.
It doesn't mean they're not making all that money. They are.
The 10th largest company in this country is Pfizer, pharmaceutical company. And they're threatening now to go to Ireland for lower tax rate.
Yeah, for manufacturing.
Yes, and are their headquarters. Headquarters.
Yeah, even I used to work for a company that had their big manufacturing in Ireland.
Yeah, well,
and this was way back.
They've been doing that too, right? But others
because of the tax breaks that Ireland gives them.
Yes, well, that's where if Pfizer puts their headquarters over there, they'll save a lot of money. And that's.
But what happens to the jobs here?
Either they learn Irish, or they are given the opportunity to go over to Ireland, or they look for jobs. One of the other.
So what was the news about Pfizer? Oh, this is the news that they're moving.
And that's a bad sign, and that, of course, is typical of what others will want to do. And so, unfortunately, our administration has not done much. We have situations where there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions, M&A they call it. And with every merger, there's a loss of jobs. That's
Whatever happened to the antitrust legislations?
Oh,
Are they
whatever
ever
happened to
being
the SEC?
enforced at all?
Yeah, the SEC, I don't know if they're still around. As a matter of fact, you don't hear a word out of them.
Yeah.
It's just frightening. There's some big companies that are, the CVS, the drugstore, #1 in the country, and they want to join, or they want to include the #2 company, and to make the biggest,
make a bigger company.
Yeah, and I guess where drug prices are going already without that happening.
Yes.
And no sign of anything from the SEC.
Rudy, can you tell us a time when there were monopolies and then the people and the government fought against it and tried to change it?
Do you
remember that time?
A little before my time, but the 4 best presidents we have is Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and the 4th one is Teddy Roosevelt, the trust buster in 1900 era. And he broke up Standard Oil and other companies, and it would never have happened without him. He was one of the few presidents that was bought out to get the job. The quick story about him is he was San Juan Hill and hero of San Juan Hill in the Spanish-American War. And so the big shots in New York State wanted him as governor, figuring he's a shoo-in, no problem, and they'd control him. They got him in. He became governor, landslide. Then he thumbed their nose at him and said he's going to do what's right. And so they didn't like him doing that. So what do? That the earliest opportunity, they put him up for vice president. That's the way you get rid of a politician.
Nice.
And so McKinley obliged
put
very
them
nicely.
In a position where they can't do any damage.
Yeah, and McKinley, who was president, and he won, and Roosevelt was the vice president, and McKinley in a year and a half got shot. And so who we got as president? Roosevelt, the renegade, the one that's doing his own thing. And there was some of that with Reagan. He was doing his own thing. And now we've got potential for 3 people that are not in politics to do that.
If you look at the current day presidents, I mean, we must admit that the times have changed. Nothing like the times when Jefferson or Lincoln were at the helm.
Right.
However, I know that now the people are feeling powerless and big corporations are taking over. So what is your feel on that? And they are deciding the policies in the government.
The small business should, the worst, I think, is the bankers. None of our bankers went to jail with this last fiasco. And that is...
You mean what happened in 2008?
Yes, to present
I
day.
believe some people did go, but not all the...
No, I didn't know of a single banker of a big bank that went to jail.
Over the credit swaps.
In fact, Lewis, who was president of Bank of America, got $100 and some odd million as a going away present. And that is demoralizing. And anybody that keeps in with this thing, it's so demoralizing that our government isn't strong, and it's a shame, and that the lobbyists are buying our politicians.
So what do you think happened because of that?
Pardon?
What do you think has happened because of that since 2008?
Well, the people are being pushed down. The jobs. Another, by the way, the chairman of ExxonMobil, the largest oil company in the world, this morning said on one of the other channels, said that the bulk of the gain in employment since 2009 has been energy jobs and not other kinds of jobs, and the rest are stagnating. RU6, which is the employment report you rarely hear anybody talk about, from the government, certainly you won't hear it, where we have the lowest amount or the highest amount of people in 37 years that have given up trying to get a job. And at the same time, we have and this is where the numbers change. Anywhere from 6 to 10 times more people on the welfare rolls getting food stamps, for example. And I guess there's consistency there where these people are not looking for work and they're on welfare, and the government pays it out. In the last 7 years, our debt went from 11 trillion when Obama first took office, from 11 trillion to close now to 19 trillion in just 7 years.
Well, some of those are a lot of the military spending and the debt.
Not military.
Yes.
Not in the last
because
7
what
years.
Has happened
it's gone
is
down in the last 7 years.
We got ourselves into a situation outside the country where we could not just pull out and had to keep spending more and more to get things more stable.
Think of the troubled area in Middle East. It's so tiny compared to, I guess the way to think of it is in our wars, how many were killed. In World War II, 315,000, huge, many millions of servicemen. So, and then 6 months later, or 6 years later, we had Korea, 42,000 killed. That was big. Then we have Vietnam. A war I don't think was obviously not worth.
Yeah.
And that was in 12 years or so, or 9 years. I'm sorry, 58,000. Well, here we have Iraq and Afghanistan together in 14 years. Fewer than 5,000 were killed. We have to keep it in proportion. It's talked a lot about with the media, and they stir up the pot. They want to get people excited to come back and listen to more, and that's their job. But it's tiny.
Whose job? You're talking about the media.
Yes. And it's tiny, though. Nobody should be killed for sure, but it's an indication of how big these are or how small these are. So somehow there's still people making money on armaments to send over to Iraq or whatever, and then we give it away to ISIS. That was, but it's small. And the defense spending since Obama's in has come down. So that's not the cause for the spending. Spending is the welfare and the benefits we're giving. Something has to give somewhere.
Well, at least I'm happy because I do check the economic numbers, which anybody can from their papers and their good government sources. Employment has been going up. This area, maybe in Connecticut, it's not so strong, but there are other areas around the nation where it has been pretty strong, and
Nevada,
at least thankfully people are getting re-employed.
North Dakota with all the energy.
Yeah, other states that are being run better and where companies are flocking to, at least there they have some employment going on.
Yeah, I don't know how we elect who we elect in this state, but we have the highest long-term debt per capita of any state in this country, and we're still spending. We're now another $400 million in debt. And the government
is there at one point I know President Bush asked him, is our country going bankrupt? He said, no, we have plenty of resources and plenty of money.
And Obama's got to keep the economy with the nose. You can't let them drown, right? So you keep pumping money into the economy. The 10-year notes, we're borrowing like crazy. Again, 11 trillion to 19 trillion just to keep the economy afloat. And that can't continue.
Yeah.
Something has to get, unless we want to be like Greece.
Yeah, I want to know, just to jog people's memory, and what you predicted almost 2 years ago on our show. Yeah,
well, similar thing about stock market would float, the leverage that was so high and so bad. It takes time to get out of the system. Even though our recession timing in 2009 was reasonably short, it still doesn't reflect how bad things were. And our unemployment on a regular number has gone down from almost 10% down to 5.1%. And that sounds very good. But again, it's mostly because of these people leaving the workforce.
Leaving the workforce, people
Right. And
giving up on finding a job.
The media doesn't tell you much about that. Once in a while, and you have to look closely. That's why you have to watch these
Definitely,
channels.
especially in this region, I would say.
Yes.
But I travel to other places in the country, and I find that in some areas it's just quite robust. People are being employed, but in this area, what you're saying is true.
And the kinds of jobs are less. It's just in the
lesser paying jobs.
Right, and part-time jobs.
Or jobs that don't meet,
Not jobs that inspire you to get up early and go to work, unless
definitely not jobs that you should be doing, but you're just doing just to get some money, but you're not using your skills to your full potential.
There's where I think I mentioned this a year, whenever it was ago, and that's the fact of a maturing economy. We start off young economy when I was a kid.
Growth.
Very few inventions. Inventions keep coming in, and people make the products, and they able to buy them. Ford started this with his assembly line with his Ford cars in the 20s, early 20s, when he doubled the salary of his workers. Because then they were able to buy his cars. He got the money back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which companies are doing around the world, but not here.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, but now, after all these years, we become mature, like Japan matured in 1990.
Yeah, and then it was just
13
languishing there.
Yeah, 13 benefit, 13 these packages, the easy money. And didn't help. They're still in problems with potential of deflation.
Well, what do you think of the 0% interest that Japan had for so many years, and now we are doing the same thing, not learning from history?
It's perfect. No, we can't help it. We're mature. Europe is the same thing. They have Switzerland, negative interest rates. Germany was a negative interest. You put money in the bank, you have to pay to keep it there. Isn't that
but
cute?
when you want to borrow from banks, it's never that low.
I checked this morning. I've got the highest rate going out of my bank, 0.1%.
Exactly.
What incentive? You got to change. You got to change your hobby now from thinking you're getting money from the banks. And some people, that's another thing that's buoying up our stock market. People are told that, you're not making any money in the bank.
You have to invest in stocks.
You have to buy in stocks.
And there's no need to do that, really.
Right. And so two others this morning, this was a fateful day, actually, for me learning something about it, is that we're either 18 times or 22 times earnings, trailing earnings on the average of all our stocks, which is very high. If it's 22, it's really high. And so the stock market is fully invested. The people that have 401ks, they're still putting money in stock thinking it goes forever, have no clue.
There's nothing,
no clue about what to do about it. And I feel so bad because it's going to break. It can't continue. Something's going to cause it to form a panic. And the really serious thing, very serious, is the Federal Reserve has always had the ability to, in bad times like they did in 2007, to lower interest rates and lower them, to induce people to go out and spend, to borrow.
It's not really helping the people, because people, if they want to borrow, look at your credit card interest rates. They are extremely high. They are 16 to 23%. No, so the average person is not getting that money to spend. It's all these governments, these little local, and their borrowings are now cheap because of the low interest rate.
A person that has a credit card and is not paying off the full amount is
it's not reaching the consumer. The consumer is not getting the free low interest.
They're not going to ever get ahead doing that. They're going to have to do what we did in the Depression. If it's not there, you can't buy it. And if instead of feeling bad about it, get to another hobby or something. Exactly. But the thing about the Federal Reserve now is
the current generation, at least two generations, they have no idea about what happened during the Depression. They've not experienced it.
Right, and there are no students of history. Well, few.
Yeah.
Few. And those are the ones that make it in life, as far as financial, anyway. If they study, it's like anything. The more you study and learn something, and if you were realistic and practical talk time. And
yes,
yeah.
That's why we handle these topics here.
Yeah. But here we have the Federal Reserve now at zero interest rate. If we had a break in the stock market now, where's the Federal Reserve going to go? They can't go below zero.
Yes.
There's no, that whole benefit is gone. It's gone. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in that case. In my case, I'm in, like the chairman of CBS, although he's got a lot more money than I do. Everything I have virtually is in 10-year Treasury notes, which are the safest thing on earth, backed by the full faith and power of the federal government. Yeah. So that's...
Is there any limit to that, or is there any minimum to invest in that?
No, $50. You can put anything in there. And you don't have to keep
You mean 10-year Treasury notes?
Pardon?
Which ones? 10-year Treasury
10-year
notes?
Treasury is the one to go for. And 2.2% today. And it's been inching up.
It needs to be around 5 for a healthy economy.
It won't be 5.
For a healthy economy, that's where it should be.
I don't think we'll ever get to 5 ever again because of the mature economy. And another thing about define a mature economy is stuff, I call it. It's new industries we have that are created from too much of everything in the household, too of everything. Yeah. All these new inventions. Now we're playing around with electronics and iPhones and this and that, which is fine. Yeah. But that's a very small part of your budget. And so what are we going to buy? There's nothing left to buy, and if that's the case, what do you expect in manufacturing? There's a limit to what human beings will need to feel secure, to feel comfortable, good roof, this and that, and good housing, whatever, and not go for frills in days like in the 20s when people were buying things that never made sense. And now we have, again, a new industry of Craigslist and eBay where people are actually buying secondhand things. Tag sales. We never had a tag sale when I was growing up. Nobody had enough of anything to do that. Yeah,
what do you think of the new, Amazon company now starting a brick and mortar book store?
Well, thank God.
They made sure all the bookstores closed, and now they are starting a bookstore.
On the bench there is my book, which came out in January. It's called Philidioms, P-H-I-L, like philosophy. Idioms, play on words, one word. It's a new word, so if you go on Google, put Philidioms in there, up it comes. No competition. And it's now being sold in bookstores at Barnes & Noble and so forth. So but it's not on the economy.
You are also writing another book on finance.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, and that's a tough one to do.
What is that going to be about?
It is about the economy and where we are today. And now the timing is getting very, very close.
And what should the people do now?
Well, certainly don't have any debt. Reduce your debt as quickly as you can.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. Because you can lose whatever your house. Another thing, a bubble, is automobiles. We have the biggest bubble in automobiles maybe ever.
Yeah, I heard automobile sales are up.
Yeah, 18 million, which is highest, and it's continuing. The problem there is that it's fed by borrowing. You used to borrow for a car for 3 years. Yeah. Now we got 7-year borrowings and at high interest rates.
Yeah, more people are leasing than buying cars.
And that's
before
worse.
More people used to buy than lease.
And that's leasing is worse. It costs you more overall if you tend to keep a car. Right. We have Toyotas, Camrys. They last how about 27 years old? They and looking
And
like
they still work, right?
not only work, look like brand new.
I see.
Why change if it works, right?
Yeah.
The Lexus is.
Well, that's where the new generation is very different in their thinking compared to the older generation.
Until they get hit. And then the learning is when after you've gotten hit and it hurts you. If it doesn't hurt you, people don't anticipate what's coming.
Yeah.
I predicted the stock market break in 2006-07, and I was my closest friend, my cousin, was ridiculing me, and he had a lot of money, and had it in banks, some of it, and one of his banks went bankrupt, and he lost 50 or 60% of his entire wealth.
I see.
Totally
the stock
bankrupt.
market did go up since that time.
Pardon?
The market has gone up quite a bit. The Dow has gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't reflect the
We
economy.
only have a minute left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Already.
Yeah, the main thing is the Dow is not the answer. The economy is the answer. And if you look at the numbers on the economy, and Friday we'll get another jobs number. The last 2 months were unpleasantly low. And if you believe the chairman of ExxonMobil, who today said that the basic increase in jobs, the number of jobs has come from the energy industry, which is flat on its face now.
Yeah.
It's half.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rudy. We are out of time.
Oh, gee.
It was fun talking to you about the economy.
Yeah.
I'll be having other shows also on the subject.
I'd
So
love to
please,
listen.
I'd like you also to watch.
You've had some
Thank
very.
you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this show. Until next time, goodbye.